9.3 Nigeria Info.
The nation's number one news, talk and sports radio station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're back from the sports studios. I am Sheriff Quadry. It's time for us to take a look at the front pages of the national dailies this morning. We've got The Guardian on the table, The New Telegraph is here, Daily Trust, The Vanguard newspaper, The Nation, Daily Sun, Daily Independent, and The Punch newspaper. Remember, you can join this broadcast live on YouTube as we speak. You'll be able to see us on YouTube. Detail for Facebook as well. Nigeria Info 99.3 is what you can search for. That's Nigeria Info 99.3. You can also follow this conversation on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. Drop your comments there. Hashtag Morning Crossfire, and we'll be able to take your thought on Twitter. Hashtag Morning Crossfire. On WhatsApp, feel free to also share your thought on any of the headlines that we'll be bringing your way this morning. The WhatsApp line is 0809 597 5805. That is 0809 597 5805. Gbolahan Olojede joins me this morning. Gbolahan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sheriff. Nice to be here again.
It's good to have you here. Let's start with our media partner on the program this morning, and always The Guardian newspaper. How Supreme Court postponed fate of 7 governors till today. Riders Court fixes February 25 for suit against Gbajabiamila's seat. Another Jones trial of NBA president till February 11. On the front page of The Guardian newspaper, how Supreme Court postpones fate of 7 governors till today. It's a banner on the front page of the New Telegraph. Supreme Justice sudden illness stalls Supreme Court hearing. Justice's sudden illness stalls Supreme Court hearing. Riders, parties, governor supporters leave court disappointed. Police use dogs to decongest crowd. Tambua, Ihedioha, Autumn, Ganduje, others, no fate today. The New Telegraph for you. Well, if you flip through to the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, governorship tussle, tension in Bauchi, Sokoto, Imo, as Supreme Court resumes hearing today. Daily Trust, the paper, if you like to read further, pick it up and read. From the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, fate of 6 governors hanging as sick judge forces Supreme Court panel to adjourn. Vanguard is with that story. Pick it up if you can and read further from the front page of the Nation newspaper. Supreme Court halts proceedings over justices' ill health. Rider Ihedioha, Ganduje, Autumn, others to no fate today. You can check out the front page of the Daily Sun, Daily Independent, as well as The Punch for similar headlines.
Wow. We've been saying this. We know we're going to get to this point.
Right.
The Supreme Court of Nigeria, according to some lawyers, is probably the busiest Supreme Court anywhere in the world, with the volume of work at that desk.
Absolutely.
With, I think, about 16 judges. How can they cope? But what happened yesterday was, I just always mention about the systemic problem first, and then the fact that a particular judge was ill. I've heard, I'm not a lawyer, but I've not seen any of the lawyers say that something is wrong with postponing it if somebody was...
I haven't as well. I haven't.
It appears from all indication that it is in order that if one of those judges is not feeling well, you have to postpone.
Right.
And when you look at some of those judgments, though I don't think these are going to be of that level. If you look at the presidential election judgment, that lead guy that delivered the thing spoke for more than 5 hours.
Right. Right.
You have hundreds of pages of writing.
Right.
So these are no mean work at all. And I just hope that the reform, whatever reform are necessary to decongest the Supreme Court, not just the Supreme Court, too, because what happened at the Supreme Court is already happening also at the lower court.
There is no doubt we need more judges.
We need more
courtrooms as well to try.
And we need to restructuring.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we need to do a holistic reform of the judiciary.
Exactly.
Because personally, I don't know why we have to take forever for us to try cases, as it's done elsewhere, where once you start a case, you finish it.
You close it out.
You just finish it. No adjournment, nothing. You finish it because the prosecutor has already done everything he needs to do to prosecute the case. All the evidences that he needs to prosecute the case. But that's not what we have here.
Which is part of the systemic problem. Is also the fact that some of the prosecutors do not even do a good job. So, and if the court just wakes up and says, "Get this thing out of my court," it becomes a problem that they're not getting justice from the court.
Right.
But the prosecutor has simply not done the right work. So you also have regionalization, some sort of regionalization, some matters that should not even come to the Supreme Court at all.
Let's look at the potential intrigues that could come out of these particular court cases.
Don't talk about Reverend Baka, please.
I am not saying anything. I am not saying anything. I'm just looking at the governors that are involved here.
Yeah.
And it's one thing though. Well, it's very, very difficult for someone who has been declared winner of an election in Nigeria to be thrown out, especially at the governorship and presidential level. It's always quite difficult.
For there to be a chance at all, the margins must be closed.
Right.
Where the margins are closed, you can say, okay, if you cancel this local government and that local government, then something could overturn.
Could happen.
Yeah. But where the winning is clear, it is very difficult. But I think in some of the instances, the margin might be actually narrow. But considering the fact that these cases have gone through the tribunal, the appeal, I have very minimal doubt that anything will change at the Supreme Court level.
Okay. Well, we're hearing that in some of the states affected, security is being beefed up.
Even the court, yes. Did you see the volume of people in the court premises?
It was saying that the dogs were being used
very rowdy, and it was horrible. Honestly, even if the judge has been around, the judges might even still have to consider the security environment yesterday. That's the reality.
Indeed. Well, let's quickly move on to our next story. The Guardian is next as well. Experts list expected gains, fears as finance bill becomes law. Front page of the Guardian newspaper. Rider, poor infrastructure, accountability may mar benefits. That's the Guardian, the way it puts it. The Nation has similar headlines. 7.5% VAT kicks off as Buhari signs finance bill. Riders teen now compulsory for bank account holders. Implementation to wait till Gazette. And they try to look at the VAT comparatively with what is obtainable in some African countries. Algeria has 19%. Benin has 18%. Ghana 15%, Kenya 16%, Rwanda 18%, Sierra Leone 15%, South Africa 15%. So we're about the lowest in Africa, 7.5%. Gbolahan.
Yeah, it goes even beyond Africa. In most part where you have VAT across the world, or where you have is the sales tax equivalent sort of, Nigeria stands out that one of those countries with very low VAT. Not just VAT, but VAT is the one that has become prominent now. The tax to GDP ratio is extremely poor. And it's something I'm delighted at the finance bill because it seeks to make a bit of fundamental changes here and there, reform of our tax laws, which is long overdue. And while it will come with a bit of pinch in certain areas, the benefit far outweigh those pinches. Meanwhile, we can't even reform this country without sacrifices here and there. That is the reality. We have to come to fact. As a student in the United States, for example, I file my taxes. Nobody even
as a student.
As a student, well, I had some job
because you were working.
I had an income. I filed my taxes. Nobody goes after me to file my taxes. So, and we want to be like those countries, right? Why are some people worried about registering for taxation? They're not even saying bring the taxes.
Right.
Well, of course, it's the beginning of when you now get to that point where you are taxable, then you will be able to tax you. But bringing people into that net in the first instance and recognizing them as an individual with potential to earn income is important.
I read a report by The Economist on tax on the continent, African continent, and The Economist put it this way that most African continents struggle to collect tax.
Correct.
And that's why the continent is backward economically, because they are not getting as much as people they need to cover in their tax nets
the critical mass,
into that net. Why is it so difficult, Gbolahan, to get a lot of people into that net?
Number one, a lot of African economy are structured after commodities, either the things under the ground or cocoa or whatever, and not taxes, But the main thing for me is the trust that the people have in their government about the usage of their taxes.
Uh-huh.
If you take it back home now, while we're talking of, we're going to increase this particular tax and the rest of it, you also now have situations in which things like 37 billion to repair some complexes coming up.
Right.
You have things like presidential jet being used without that much of a discretion.
Right.
It's also burning money.
Right.
You're burning money. So when people are looking at those acts, some of them might not necessarily be, we're not saying they could be illegal.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the jumbo salary of certain officials are not illegal. They were they were appropriated legally.
Right.
But at the same time, there is the expediency, there is the discretion side of things that people are watching and saying, so when I pay you this tax, this is where it all goes to. We need to build trust. People must be able to see
deficit.
Yes.
Because of lack of accountability.
Exactly.
Indeed. Moving on to the Vanguard newspaper, banner headline: 50 years after, let's revisit issues that caused civil war. This is credited to Goan Shoyinka Anya Utomi Akintoye. Writer say war is horrible. Nigerians must never fight each other again. Vanguard is the paper. If you'd like to read further, please pick it up and read the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Let's move on quickly now to the front page of the New Telegraph. Go on, Shoyinka Utomi, others caution against warmongering. That's the front page of the New Telegraph. Daily Sun has similar headline: 50 years after civil war. Shoyinka Akintoye, Utomi, Anya, Umahi insist on restructuring. Writers say we have not learned lessons from war. Fear of domination responsible for it. Go on. Have we learned any lesson from the war? Well,
maybe some, but significantly not so. Because that fear, that original fear,
right,
is still here with us today. And it is also sad when people should know better and therefore take deliberate steps to ensure that they don't fuel those suspicions and not doing well enough to do that. It becomes a problem. So it's as if we expect this person who was a soldier, who fought in that war, to do better when it comes to the sensitivities, the fault lines in this country.
Right.
But when we're not seeing enough, it's not deliberate enough. Because some of these things really, if you're not deliberate about it, it will creep in on you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have now to be deliberate and say, no, this is coming to me. This, I will not take it this way. I will do it this way because of those sensitivities. But you see, a structural reform is going to be more effective, and that is why the issue of restructuring comes to the table.
Well, we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. Yes. Sometime in 2019, 2018 became the front burner everybody was talking about. But now it seems to have faded away.
Yeah, because people were talking about it, and then government itself got into it, and then there were a lot of buzz there and there, and then it fizzled out.
Is this how we are? We forget things easily?
We did.
We have short memory span, right?
OBJ did national conference. I hope you've not forgotten. OBJ did. Jonathan did. This government also, as part of its promises, at some point had mentioned restructuring.
Right, right.
But here we are, since OBJ was a president and, came into the saddle in 1999.
Right.
20 years after, nothing much has happened. So you begin to ask, are we genuinely committed to this? Well, it seems as if that effectively that will be the way.
Is it ever going to happen, Gbolahan? Is it ever going to happen, restructuring?
I think it will happen if we start from the inside. So while waiting for implementation of some agreement at the center, and while there are engagement left and right, let the people at the state, at the regional, at the local government level begin to also look inside. See, a situation in which states themselves rely totally, they literally don't do anything.
Right.
And rely totally on Abuja for revenue, for example, is unacceptable. You cannot be relying on Abuja for 90% of your revenue and say you want restructuring. If they do restructuring today and they take away that oil money from you and they take the tax money from Lagos off you, how will you survive? Your income suddenly goes from 100 to 10. What will you do?
Indeed. Well, let's take a look at some comments on WhatsApp. Dr. Mrs. Maolebara, she's watching from Owerri on our Facebook page. Let's start from there. The economic situation is an embarrassment, and we should stop playing politics with the sorry state of Affairs and face the stark realities. Government, both federal and states, should stop paying lip service to agriculture. Talking about diversifying the economy. Emmanuel Hime on Twitter says, report by The Economist about lack of proper collection of tax in Africa, impending proper care for the people in Africa. The reason for the hopelessness and non-proper care of people in Africa is as a result of wicked people at the helm of affairs. Emmanuel Hime, thank you for your thought. Let's quickly head on now to WhatsApp and take this comment. Your name is Steve. And you sent this in from Ijani King. He says, how long shall we deceive ourselves? Those who are against state police are what now? They are tactically forming one security outfit or the other in their state or regions. We're just fooling ourselves by the so-called federalism we are operating. Thanks, Steve, for that. And your name is Chinedu from Idumota. And Chinedu says, comparing tax adherence to other countries are mere academic pronouncements. Have you compared the cost of doing business in their country and the type of leadership they have? Okay, that's another point of view, Chinedu.
African leadership are similar. There is no big deal. When people talk about Ghana, for example, I ask them, if you lived in Accra, Accra is a much more expensive place to live than Lagos.
Right.
So
what's his big deal about it?
What's the big deal? It's more expensive.
To live in Accra?
Yes.
Indeed. Let's look at our next headline this morning on the show. And we look at, let's see, Daily Independent is here. That's right. Court sentences accountant to 18 years in prison for stealing tights.
No respect for God.
It was very rude. How could you have done that to God? Really? But remember that a particular general overseer came out last weekend to accuse some of his church workers as well of this same thing. And this rings one bell and one bell only. Corruption is rife in this country.
Pervasive everywhere. Sometimes with the way people tend to isolate a section of the society as if they are immune to everything that is going on around them, it's amazing. It is not real. Whatever you see in the larger society, it is present in all those other microcosms all over the whole place, including religious places.
Right.
They also pay school fees. They also see
nobody
the
is immune. Nobody is shielded. Nobody.
No society.
Can we get a saint in this country today? Can we say maybe not a saint per se, but a close to it in this country?
There will be exceptions. There will be people. I mean, I was following some chat a couple of days ago, and somebody said, "Oh, the reason some people steal is because they are not well paid enough." I said, "No,
that's not true.
That's
absolutely not true."
But for him, it means that if you entrust him with money and you're not paying him enough, he will steal it.
He'll help himself.
He will help himself. But that's not the way it goes. So there are still people who have honor, who are properly brought up and will not steal when you pull them. But obviously corruption is rife, pervasive in every nook and cranny of this country, in every segment of our life.
You know, the worry of some people is that corruption has been institutionalized, and when you institutionalize something, it becomes the ideology of the people. If you ask anybody today that if you get into office, what are you going to do first? The person, obviously, the answer is very, very clear. Because most people want to enrich themselves first, because that is the message that is being passed across.
So we need to reinvent our values.
How do we do this? That's where I'm going. How do we begin? Because as a matter of fact, it's looking irredeemable.
Well, it's something that starts from the family level. I remember there was a school that said, okay, no, when is the birthday of those kids? This is what you must bring. Don't bring all those back, because you find out that parents were competing for my child brought the best gift for his friends when it was her birthday. So the other kid is also already saying, "Mommy, this is what this person brought. This is what I must bring."
Right.
So the parents are not just competing with themselves now; they are setting up those kids for competition at that level. Those are some of the
At
things.
that level?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Those are some of the things that set the foundation for what we're looking at. The flamboyance, the unnecessary
Living beyond your means and all
sort
of those
things,
things.
keeping up with the Joneses and all sort of things in the society.
Indeed. Let's quickly look at that story. This story broke last week. A video surfaced online about a lady in Lebanon crying for help. We have it on the front page of The Nation this morning. Nigerian lady rescued from Lebanon slavery. And it comes to the writer, how we did it by official. And the picture of the lady is there. What does this speak to you, Gbolahan, about how the way Nigerians are being lured into slavery
It's
outside the shores of the country?
Let me be frank. This is the one we have been able to bust. There will be several, and as I say with all sense of responsibility, that are trapped in this thing, because this scam has been on for at least 6-7 years.
So when I shared this video, when I saw this video and I shared it, a friend of mine told me that this is an old video, and I told her, I said, nope, this is actually new. And I got where she was coming from, because this is not new, actually.
This scam is not new. It's been on. As a matter of fact, I've seen a situation in which someone who even lives abroad had wanted to fall into this same trap. A Nigerian who lives in Europe.
Oh, wow.
She just happened to share it with me. I'm not like, no, this thing doesn't end up. If you have not parted with any money, please stop it right now. These people are also doing a lot of marketing online. So it's not just the physical contact alone.
So you see them as being legit.
You see them as
because
being
the advert is there online.
Correct.
You see the ad, work in Dubai, work in this, work in that.
Most of them are scammed. And I think the government has a role here. Our people are being sold into slavery. And as much as we can do some citizens education to let them know that there are no teaching jobs flying around in America for you to just come and take, the better for us.
Indeed.
People are falling victim of this.
Indeed. Let's take a few more comments on WhatsApp. Victor, sorry, not Victor. Pardon me. What's your name again? Ororo from Ayobo says 30% of tax paid is always diverted and stolen by the ministries in charge, and 60% goes into the government officials on top. While
where did he get this percentages from?
while they invest just 10% in development, and we're still talking about paying more tax to a corrupt system. It boils down to the trust deficit you mentioned.
Maybe we will also ask more
issue.
questions if more people get involved.
I think more questions. But how do you expect people to get involved in paying tax when they don't trust the system is going to use their money for what is being promised to use for? They can see the deficit there. Infrastructure deficit is there in their face.
Glaring at everybody. The government needs to build the trust. The finance bill is an opportunity for the government to build a trust. We can even take this year and say this year, government will deliver this and this. People will see it. So that you remember that Lagos State advert that Lagos is working something about taxes.
Right.
Yeah. Once people can see it, they feel comfortable, and you can get more from them. That's the way it works.
And I want to think that that's what worked for Lagos, because you could actually see the improvements. You know, on right there in your face, you could see it. Let's move on to Daily Trust newspaper. This morning, and they have a headline here that's trying to look at what we intend to discuss this morning at 8 o'clock, factors that will shape Nigeria's economy in 2020. That's what we plan to discuss at 8 o'clock this morning, looking at the economic outlook for the country in 2020. You should join us on that particular discussion. It promises to be really, really interesting. Quickly, let's pick up the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Customs shortlist 163,399 from 828,333 applicants. And I want to relate this to another headline yesterday about 50,000 people to get 1,000 teaching jobs in Lagos. And I think in northern states, 14,000 people just to get another job, which is meant for about 7,000 plus people. So we have a lot of people in the job market,
correct?
But we have limited space to put them.
Yeah.
And this is 2020. How does this affect the economy of the country? If we don't have more people, being productive?
We're not yet producing or creating as many jobs as we should, and it's reflective in the unemployment rate that has continued to grow. Even part of the so-called employment contains a huge size of underemployment. But 2020 offers some opportunities. I hope we take those opportunities and begin to set some foundations that will help us rev things up a little bit. We could begin to deliver on major infrastructure. I saw that. I've been seeing that road coming all the way from Apapa to Oshodi.
Right.
Things like that, you deliver on it. There's an extensive one at the Bagada end as well that is going on. There are major rail infrastructure that are being tuned up.
Right.
There is Lagos Ibadan. I spent 7 hours on Christmas Day.
7 hours?
Between Antony Village and Redeem Camp.
No way.
Yes. You see, but then, after you escape where that bad traffic is and you get onto the smooth part of this road, you see the possibilities that will happen.
Right.
If that road is completed, for example.
I enjoyed driving on that.
Oh,
especially
my God.
the good part.
Yeah, the good part is so cute. You will love those.
So smooth.
Exactly.
Yes, so smooth.
By the time things like that are delivered, 2020 to me looked like a year to set right certain things that will help us rev the economy, including this finance bill. If we get more people into the tax net, for example,
things will work definitely automatically. Gbolahan, Olojede, thank you for joining on the From the Frontpages this morning. It's always been amazing to have you around.
Yeah,
morning.
good to be here.
That's fine. When we return after the break, it will be time for us to look at the economic outlook for the country in 2020. Muda Yusuf, the Executive Director, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, will be joining us. And also we'll be having Segun Quadry, the President of the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, who will be joining us as well. He promises to be interesting. What should you expect as a business owner? If you're a salary earner, how will inflation affect your money? Will you be able to have enough disposable income for the year 2020? How will the economy be like in the face of some new policies being churned out by the government? Will we have stability in the economy in 2020? What are the actions of the government that could hamper the stability? And you know what investors do. They listen to body language. They take their things away because no investor want to put money somewhere and lose their investment. We're back in a moment after the short break. I'm Sheriff Quadry. Please stay here.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.